In this video, you're actually going to see a recording of a live demo that I did with a prospective customer that is now a student of the course and starting their freelancing company. So what I want to showcase here is that this is a lot of the material you can see. This is actually going to allow you a sneak peek into a lot of the course material because this was a one-on-one demo where I was showcasing a lot of the course material. The other thing I want to point out is that I've heard a couple of times that you look at the course and you can see that there are only an hour of videos or maybe only an hour and a half of videos. That is because this content is not video based. This is process driven template based material. That means that the true value is in the downloadable templates that you are going to find in each individual lesson. All of these course builders are prepped to showcase how long videos are. I am a very straight to the point person. I'm not here to talk to you for an hour or 2 hours about the content. I'm here to give you what you need, the 1, 2, 3 steps to get you started on your freelance consulting, and then I'm stepping away. There is no need for me to sit here and talk to you for hours about the material when within an hour or two, you could already have your freelance business started. So I want you to take a look at that. We talk about that a little bit in this live demo. But watch this video, and I think you'll be impressed with the content that you're going to see. So the purpose is really it's going to teach you everything, and I know you've seen this from the sales page,
Right.
but it's really going to walk you through, like right here, commonly asked questions when getting started. This is really about the mental hurdle. And, like you see here, it's 6 minutes long. How much could you really learn? But a lot of this is about understanding things. Like my number one thing when you get started, and I still see this even from people who have taken the course, they still call themselves a freelancer, which to me is like the number one way to shoot yourself in the foot, because clients do not respect the term freelancer. They want to hear that you are a consultant. When they hear freelancer, they think cheap work, may or may not be good work. We're not really sure what we're going to get because you're a freelancer. But when they hear of consultants, they think Deloitte and Blue Wolf and Rackspace and all of these large consulting firms that come in, dominate projects, get in and get out, and you pay a price for them. And when they think freelancer, they think somebody who may or may not do a good job, but I'm probably going to pay them less than $50 an hour. So I can save some money, but the work may not be great. And you want to get yourself into this area. You want to do good work and charge $100 an hour plus for your work. That's the space you want to be in if you're ever going to make serious money doing this. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. The only thing is that sometimes freelancers, they think of them as solopreneurs, I guess, and consulting, they think of them as part of a bigger team. So that's part of the, things that you need to kind of, break through.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'll even say that I would say that more than 50% of consulting, independent consulting, has to do with setting expectations for your clients and creating the perception that you want your clients to have about you. So, and we go through some of that too. So should I represent myself as an individual or a company? And we talk a little bit about this and where it plays in. So you should always start an LLC. But the great thing about having an LLC is, for instance, my company, Honest IT LLC. When I come to a client, I can come up to them and I can say, hey, I'm Bradley Rice. I'm an independent consultant, and I would like to work with you on this project. This is where I think I could fit. And that might be a good way to introduce yourself if you are talking to someone who's currently hiring for a full-time job. Maybe they're looking for a full-time Salesforce administrator. They're going to pay $100,000 a year to have somebody full-time. And when you approach them, those people don't necessarily want a consulting firm because they'll say no third-party people, like we just want regular applicants. But that is a very good way to source work, but they don't want to hear that you're a consulting firm. So a great way that you approach those people is to say, hey, I don't necessarily want a full-time job, but my name's Bradley Rice and I do independent Salesforce consulting. And let me show you how I can get everything you need done, and I can do it. And it's only going to cost you $40,000 a year to get everything you need. And hey, let's do a 2-week contract and you can sort of test drive me and see if you like the work I do and the way I fit into your company culture. And if you like it, we'll extend this thing and we'll get maybe a monthly contract in place, or we can talk about some bigger projects you want to get completed. But I come to you as an independent consultant. I'm still just an individual person. And when you're looking at people who are currently hiring for full-time jobs, you can save them money and get the job done. They want to work with you as an individual. Does that make sense, where you would want to be perceived as?
Yeah, okay. The concern I would have is typically if they leverage a recruiter, I'm sure that that's not really their ideal client, because they're trying to make a commission on a higher salary, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you have to maybe do some outreach directly to those companies. And that's where I struggled the last time trying to do this business. So that's where I get a little bit of goosebumps. Maybe that's where I need a lot of help, as to how to approach the right people, so that, it doesn't sound spammy,
yeah,
that type of thing. So, I mean, I'm sure this is different because not everybody's knocking people's doors saying I'll do Salesforce consulting. So I like it a lot because of that differentiating factor, but still, I just have, some scars from the past.
Yeah. I think there's some mental, a lot of these are going to be mental hurdles for anybody, right? Whether it's you and you've been burned in the past, or whether you're new to Salesforce or maybe you've been an admin in an office for a couple of years and you're just not sure that you can do this thing. There are going to be mental hurdles. I can tell you that a lot of it has to do with your communication and your delivery and how direct you are and things like that. If you come in and you sound spammy and you say, hey, I would like to help you with this, and I can do this, and I'll give you 20% off because I like what your company does, like that immediately just sounds spammy. And if you're not giving detail, like if you say, I can get this thing done for $40,000 a year, and they say, how? And you say, oh, just trust me, I'll get it done. They're going to walk away right away. You have to be able to say, all right, well, tell me why you need a Salesforce professional. Tell me why you think you would benefit from a full-time role. And I will tell you why I have the skill set to bring something to the table well beyond whatever you were going to hire for, because I have 6 certifications and I have this many years experience in the IT space. And when I come into this, you're going to get a very different level of attention and a very different level of expertise. Therefore, if you can just dedicate to, 5 or 10 hours a week, I think you will be blown away at what I can accomplish for your company. And if you can come in like that, and what you do is you hit them with that. And this is in the course. This is one of the approaches that I personally use. And it's, if you can say, hey, look, I know this might sound unconventional. I know you're not hearing this message every day. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. What I would like to do is let's just do a quick 2-week contract. It's going to be 20 hours. I'll do 10 hours this week. I'll do 10 hours next week. I'll do it for an entry-level rate. Say I'll do it for $50 an hour just so you can test drive me. And then the rate will go up after that if you decide to stick with me. But I want to give you a chance to get comfortable with me. And I want to show you that in 10 hours a week for the next 2 weeks, I can get way more done than you ever expected. And I will be way more beneficial to this team than you ever expected. And give me a shot. 10 hours is going to cost you $1,000 over the next 2 weeks. And if you hate me, then we're done, contract over. And if you love me, then let's extend this thing. I'm going to get it done for $40,000 a year. You just saved $60,000 because you were going to hire a 100K admin, and you're in a much better place. I'm getting where I want to be, and we both win. So why not?
What's the capacity limit? Let's say if you're a solo freelancer, how many clients, can I potentially take? I know it's up to me, of course, but I'm guessing based on your experience, it sounds to me, if you're, I'm not sure about your situation right now, but it sounds to me like you're talking about doing 20 per month. So I'm guessing you have around 6 clients and you're still doing it part-time, I'm guessing, or 5?
So I actually have 3 clients at any given point. I have 3 major clients, and sometimes I'll take on a small project on the side on top of that.
For the same client or for a separate client usually?
Usually it's for a separate client. I might have someone in my network, someone I know from the freelance group who needs some help with a specific task. I'm very comfortable doing like data migrations, for instance, and a lot of people aren't. And so they'll say, hey, Brad, I've got this client and I know how to do 70% of the work, but they have this data migration thing they want to do, and I'll jump in and help out on that.
Got it.
So it's stuff like that. But no, I keep 3 clients, and that's my personal preference because I like to stop working at 12 o'clock. So I work from 8 to 12. So I only do 20 hours a week. And what that means to me is I can get a client that is, so the exact setup I have right now, I have one client that is 30 hours a month. I have a second client that is 30 hours a month. And I have a third client that is, what are they at? About 20 hours a month, I think is what they agreed to. So right now I have, which makes perfect sense, I have 80 hours a month of dedicated work. So in 4 weeks, that's 20 hours a week. So that's how I schedule my work. And initially it's going to be more project based. Like I do all managed services now because, and you'll see in the course, that's what I try to guide people towards is doing.
Yeah, it's a good business model. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's stable, it's steady income. And you develop a true long-term relationship with clients. Like 2 of my clients I've had for the last 3 years. So when you think about stability of income, being in a company for 3 years in the Salesforce space is longer than most people are, developers or admins at a company. So I can do a lot less work and I can make a lot more money, but I'm also saving the clients money. So in the long term, why wouldn't they do that? That's really the approach I go for, but I might start with a 20-hour project or a 50-hour project. And it's really just a way to get your foot in the door, show your value. And then when they have Salesforce issues in the future, they come back to you. And if they get burned in the future, they're going to come back to you and never want to get burned again. And they're going to stick with you for the long term. So my goal is always, when I come into a new client, my goal is always to come out of that with a managed services agreement, even if that's only 10 hours a month or 15 hours a month. My goal is to come out of that with a managed services agreement.
How do you manage the time? Because I have no idea how they're able to keep track of the time and you. And I mean, so how do you keep everybody honest on that?
So typically, keeping track of your time is fairly straightforward. There is a component in here for time tracking, project planning, and time tracking. So again, I promise you, I wouldn't mislead you. Everything that I use, I quite literally, when I get a client, I quite literally come to this course and pull the templates down based on what I need. Like this is my go-to for how I manage my clients. Now, I'm not going to sit here and watch the video and read the material.
Of course.
I'm going to come right here and I'm going to grab this project plan and then I'll say, it's my new client. So I'll pull that down and now it's on my desktop. And I'll get started right there. It's that easy. So you can watch the video and it'll show you how to use the content, but I know how to use the content. So I'm going, okay, I've got a project going on. Maybe we're starting this thing in, August right now. So I'm going to start in September. And I would just go through and update this based on how long the project's going to run. So I might go, okay, we got a 3-month project, shouldn't run any longer than that. And then I can really just kind of come over here and remove the rest of this project plan. And now I've got my 3-month project plan already started. So now I know exactly what I need to do. I have to agree on a project plan and timeline. I have to get the welcome kit questionnaire over to them. Next thing we need to do is do some requirements gathering. So I need to make sure that I've got the requirements that they need. And there's a whole process for that. I need to make sure that I design based on those requirements. So basically just come up with a solution for the requirements. And then I need to review those with the client, make any updates, and have a finalized document. Then we move right into actually building things out, doing any migrations that need to be done, user acceptance testing. And so this is going to help you. And it goes all the way through to training and any other items that you might have. So this is a very easy way for you to track the project overall. And then if you come over here, you've got your time tracking. So it's so simple. All you're doing is filling in a date, filling in the number of hours, filling in where this comes from in the statement of work, because you always want to tie your hours back to what you've proposed. And then you're putting in notes. So just in case a client comes back and they say, whoa, you billed 10 hours. What did you accomplish in those 10 hours? You've got your notes. All you've got to do. You could even grab this document, save it and send it to them. And a lot of times I'll even have this on a shared file. so that they can come in and see the project plan, the time tracking, and the project tracking all in one place. And so as soon as the day ends and I log my hours, if the client ever says, hey, Brad, how many hours do you have left on this particular section? Or how many hours did you bill this week? All I have to do is send them a link and say, check out the document. It looks like 12 to me. Let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, I'm used to tracking everything with Jira with the story points. Yep. So it's kind of completely different thing. Okay, perfect. Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, my goal is always to keep things as simple as possible. I noticed that now Jira is a good tool. It's very good for huge projects with a lot of different people involved. But a lot of what I like to do is, personally, I like to take on smaller projects, definitely under 100 hours, and keep them in this mold where the project doesn't get too crazy with all these different customizations. And that's how I can box myself into this administrator role for 95% of the work that I do. So that's really...
Do you do also enhancements for your clients or just maintenance and support? Okay.
Yeah, enhancements like if they, in terms of if they need a new third party.
Automation or a flow or...
Sure. Flows, process builders. I even, I do some work helping them strategize how to handle something the best way, or, because it's up to you as the consultant to help say, this is how this is going to impact reporting. You're asking for this automation, but that's not that's not going to be reportable. So we need to think about a different way to handle that. Or we need a related object because using the data on a single object is going to be very difficult to report on. Things like that. But so it's administrative, it's analytical, but there is no development involved in any of the work that I do.
Gotcha. Okay. And you force clients into, once they say they pass the stage where they feel comfortable, they have a 12-month contract. And what happens if they break it in the middle? Anything or like?
Yeah. So let's come down. So these are
you have a contract and everything ready to go for.
Oh yeah. No, you're not going to have to do anything. So all you have to do, like for instance, let's say you're getting started with a client and like the first thing you want is a non-disclosure agreement. And the second thing you're going to want is to get that statement of work or proposal in front of them. So you can see, I'm just spending, you can see where the time comes from and where you might say, hey, there's only an hour and a half of content. But my content isn't about the videos. It's about the templates. It's all about the value you get from the file you download. Like you don't want to hear me talk for an hour. You want to get in there and start working with your clients. So this is going to give you a 12-minute overview of a statement of work, but how long do you need somebody to talk about a document? So all you have to do is decide, and you can read through the material, is this going to be a fixed price or an hourly time and material project? Based on that, pick the document that you want. So let's say we're going to do an hourly document, and that's it. You just grab it.
Yeah, fixed price. I never understood how people are able to figure out how long a project is going to take them.
You'd have to really know what you're doing to get a fixed price in there. So if it's a project you're comfortable with, and the way that a fixed price works, and I can tell you about that briefly too, is the big thing. The big thing on a fixed price is that you have to box in what you're going to do. So for instance, you have to say things on a fixed price. Yeah, this is it.
Okay.
So we'll go over and we'll get into it. So maybe a fixed price is a good one. But what I want to point out here is like this is all pre-built for you. So grab your company logo, drop it right there. Take your company name, drop it right here. Take your client's company name, drop it right here. Today's date, you have your contract. This is a legally binding contract that will be signed by you and the company. And this is your statement of work that you will deliver to them. So this is exactly what you need to get them under contract for a project. And I'll show you the managed services agreement in a second. But all you're doing is filling in the yellow highlights. Everything else you leave alone. What are the goals? There may be 2 or 3. There may be 5 or 10. You just fill in the goals that you have. We have some examples in here of, typical generic wording for what needs to be done. And then when you get down here, this is where you're filling in some of the details. So on a fixed price, this is the kind of stuff you have to do to keep the project from getting out of your control. So we're going to do 4 profiles, 4 roles, 3 validation rules.
Do you charge for the discovery session as part before you even quote this, or
you don't charge for discovery? That is part of the sales process.
Got it.
So you have to build all of this now. Now you don't want to go into too much detail. Like you're not sitting there with them for. It might be an hour. It might be a couple of hours on the sales side, but you're not going into the details of building out. What are these three?
Solution. Okay.
Exactly. You're not defining what the 3 validation rules are. You're just saying it sounds like you have some things where you want them, you want to be in control of what data is input. So let's make sure we have at least room for 3 validation rules here. It sounds like you want some automation. So let's get a process on the lead object with a couple of emails, a couple of automated tasks, maybe 20 custom fields and 3 list views. And that's how you sort of box things in so that if they ever said, oh, we need 5 validation rules, you could, now if you have time, you could do it. But if you don't have time, you can easily come back to the statement of work and say, hey guys, that's scope creep. We're going out of scope a little bit based on the contract we have in place. And we're going to need to backtrack a little bit or add some time to the project, and that's all you have to do. And this statement of work keeps you in check with them so that you don't have to worry too much. So that's how you protect yourself on a fixed price contract, is by creating these constraints in the contract.
Yeah, that's exactly the issue. Sometimes that you offer something and there's no specifics, and then
yeah, and this is what
they change it.
Yeah, so this is going to protect you, and like I said, this is the real deal. Like this is how you manage clients, and this is how you keep yourself protected. This is how you protect your clients, and just make sure. Like I said, I think I said one of the first things on the call was it's all about client expectations, and this document does a very good job of setting expectations. Because you're never going to get to a point where you say, hey, you guys just asked me for 20 reports. I can only do 12. And they'll say, why can you only do 12? And you say, well, check out the statement of work right here. This is what we agreed on. And if they get upset about it, that means they're unreasonable. But per the contract, they should be pretty comfortable going, oh, yeah, okay, so this is a little bit out of scope. And what you can say is, let's prioritize your top 12 reports that you want to see right now. And let's go live with what we have. And then let's take those other 5 reports you were asking about, and let's put those on the sort of the back burner, and we'll get those built as part of a managed services agreement that we'll move into. And you just put everything into this managed services basket because you're building a case for the end of the project where you're going to say, all right, let's move into managed services. And these are all the things you told me you needed to have done. So we'll start with this. And
gotcha. Yeah. Cool. Another question I want to ask you quickly is, I have my LinkedIn profile like an employee, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm ready to be putting it like, hey, I'm a consultant doing this work. How, is that something that you feel is going to be a challenge for me to keep, let's say, I guess a low profile, I guess, kind of.
What I typically say is that there's a couple of different strategies there. Number one, you can create a new LinkedIn profile specifically for your consulting, and just don't connect with any of your coworkers. So that's one of the simpler ways to do it. But a lot of times you don't want to lose all of your other connections. The other way to do it, if your coworkers aren't too active on LinkedIn, what you can do is take your current LinkedIn profile and go through and sort of remove the connections to the people you currently work with. That way they're not going to see on their feed that you updated your title or that you updated your work history and things like that. I will say from just sort of a human psyche standpoint, you'll be very, I should say in most cases, you'll be very surprised with how much people don't care what you're up to. Because they're so busy with their day and their life and their work and all these things that they might see something come across their feed that says, hey, Bradley just updated his title. And they'll go, hey, what's all that about? I should text him later or send him an email later to see what's up. And then they just forget and their life goes on and they never do anything about it. So you'll have to decide what your situation's like and how much attention you want to draw to yourself. But if you want to alleviate or mitigate that situation, all you have to do is create a brand new LinkedIn profile and make sure not to connect with individuals that you work with.
My current thought, I currently have a business with my sister called Target Bridge, and it's on right now my LinkedIn profile. I was thinking about just putting that as my initial company, which is it was primarily made for consulting as well, and just putting that still at present, like I'm still there, and I don't really put my title or that I work at Acumen on my feed.
Okay.
So I was thinking about making some of those things because, like you said, I mean, starting from scratch and starting to connect with people with zero connections, people are like a little bit, and still, I don't know. But anyway, that's a small issue that I thought about asking you. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's a good one. And let me quickly, if you have a second, I'll quickly just show you the managed services because I know you asked about this. So you can see, again, it's a 5-minute video, but to me, this is probably worth $300 to $500 by itself, just because when you're starting a consulting firm, you don't want to sit there and watch videos. What you want to do is get the templates and process-driven documentation that is going to carry your company into the future. And that's what this is. Like, whenever I get a new client, I have no interest in watching a video. I'm interested in downloading this document right now and getting a contract in place. So if I had a new client that said, hey, Brad, yeah, we are interested in a managed services agreement. Can you send us something to tell us a little bit more about what that is and how it's going to work? And then just boom, go to the managed services section, get your template, get started. Same thing as all of the other templates. So immediately you're just going to be going your logo, today's date, client.
Right. That's the reason I wasn't too interested on your $100 package, because I feel like I get a client and then what do I do, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have the end to end, then it's not worth it,
that's right. The design behind the $100 package is, if you're uncomfortable, then it can help you get in the door. But as soon as you land a client, the design behind that is that you're probably gonna message me and say, hey, Brad, I need your full content right away. So that's the goal, is to help people feel comfortable. And then obviously they're going to want to upgrade to this. So the month, all you're doing, and again, all you have to do is pay attention to the yellow highlights. So how many hours do you want to approach them with? What's the rate you're going to do? And how much is that going to be per month? You could even give them a couple of buckets. Like sometimes I'll take a client, I'll say I'll do 10 hours, but it's going to be $150 an hour. And that's going to be,
cool.
And so it's so simple, $3,000. Okay, well, let's see here. Make sure I do this right.
Do you set an expectation that the certain things have? I mean, like, could I push some of the work for the weekend, let's say, or do you think that I have to be like on top of this, like a hawk that I have to respond within a couple hours?
No, you should never set that expectation that you're going to be quite that quick. Now, if you get around to it quickly, you're building rapport. But keep in mind, you're also building an expectation. So I'll sometimes advise people, even if you can get it done in 30 minutes, wait a couple hours. Because if you start getting things done in 30 minutes and you do it repeatedly, clients are going to start to expect you to respond in 30 minutes and have things done.
Right.
And while you can get it done, and that's really great, and you look like a superhero, you kind of want to be careful with that a little bit.
And shutting yourself in the foot for the future. When you can't.
Exactly. So you can quickly come in here and say, hey, if you want to do 30 hours a month, I can get the rate down to $120 an hour. And now we're at $3,600. So you're still making more money, but obviously at a lower rate. But man, with the managed services, the stability of $3,600 a year, that's over $40,000 a year with one contract working 7 hours a week. So it's amazing what you can do here. And even when you're first starting out, you might come in with rates like, I want to come in with something lower, like $80 an hour, which I don't think you need to do. But if that makes you feel more comfortable, then by all means. Anything lower than $80 an hour, you're going to scare clients away because the price is too low. And they're going to look at you like a freelancer and not a consultant. So this, but still $2,400 with one client, that's huge, especially as a side project. But to answer your question, it's like, when do I get the work done? When you're a consultant, they expect that you have 3 or 4 clients, because a successful consultant should have 3 or 4 clients. So it's so easy. Like for me, with my clients, they might say, hey, Brad, can you meet at 2:00? Well, I don't like to work past 12. So if they say, can I meet at 2:00? All I have to say is, I'm booked up on my calendar for that point in the day, but I can meet with you tomorrow at 9 a.m. And they never have an issue with that because all it tells them is, man, this is a super busy guy. He is in demand, and I'll talk to him tomorrow. And
you're typically talking to this on a 50 to 150 person company to like a high ranking official, or usually like the IT person. I mean, what's usually your contact at these companies?
My contact is usually, it depends on who you're working with. So if they are using Salesforce for the sales department mainly, then typically you're going to be talking to, your point of contact is going to be maybe a sales operations manager, someone like that. You might even be working with a Salesforce director at the company, or like an IT director or someone like that. But most of the time you're going to be working with one of the business users. Like it could be a support manager, a sales manager, or it might be a couple of those people. If you're doing, if they have a heavy marketing use, like using Pardot or Marketing Cloud, and I always have them manage that on their own. I can sort of help them as I can, but I don't pretend to be an expert in any of those areas. And what I do is I might be working a lot with a marketing manager to build the correct fields in Salesforce, to automate some things in Salesforce so that it works well with marketing. So it just depends on the project and which department is using it the most.
So do you get involved with marketing automation for these companies?
I do not get involved. I am Pardot certified. Like if you were Pardot,
I saw that. That's the reason I wanted to ask you, because I was like, I mean, maybe you're getting more traction, or maybe I need to get into Pardot to get more clients, or assume those services.
Pardot is just something that I had been exposed to a lot because a lot of Salesforce clients use Pardot. To the point where I'd seen it so much and worked with so many marketing departments that eventually I got to a point where I said, I'm pretty sure I can go past this exam just because of exposure. And eventually those kind of things will happen. But no, it doesn't. I wouldn't say the Pardot certification gets me more work. I would say that any additional skill that you have is a plus, because you can come into a company and say, it's nice when they say, hey, we've got Pardot, and I don't know how much you know about that. And I can say, actually I'm Pardot certified, so I know quite a bit about that. And again, I draw the line. I'm not going to build your segmentation list. I'm not going to build your email templates. But as far as Salesforce and Pardot working together goes,
integration, yeah.
That's right. I'm going to be an expert in being able to help your department make the right decisions. So to answer one of your questions from earlier.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So I typically go for a 1-year agreement up front with automatic annual renewals. But you can see I have these highlighted just in case. And this saves you, because with any subscription, like if you're a consumer and you buy Netflix and you've got it for a month and you didn't watch it last month, guess what? You're not gonna cancel because you think you might use it next month, or you think you might use it in a couple months. And people just forget. So the amazing thing with these contracts is that you can do a 1-year agreement with annual renewals. And quite literally, I've had clients not utilize my time for an entire month. They didn't ask me to do a single thing. But with this, it's guaranteed money. So quite literally, I have a client that they pay $3,300 a month, and they have gone an entire month before without asking me for anything, and they still get an invoice for $3,300 at the end of the month. And guess what? They have never canceled because they think I'll use him next month, or I might use him in a couple months. We really need him as a backup just in case something goes wrong, and he's got us under contract.
You don't have it set up as an auto pay to avoid any issues?
There's not necessarily an auto pay. Typically, you invoice the client at the invoice period. So typically, I do that on the first of the month, is I'll invoice my clients, and that can help a lot. So
and you invoice at the end of each month or at the beginning of each month?
The managed services agreements are prepaid. So yep. So you'll get invoiced at the beginning of the month for those. So let's say, for instance, and you'll see here that I don't actually use this in mine personally, but some people feel more comfortable with this, where they'll roll over hours, but you have to limit it to say, if you didn't use me this month, I can roll over 5 hours. But I can't roll over the full 10 or the full 30, but I can roll over a couple, just to get some flexibility. Let's see. And the other thing here is, it's right here, the written agreement. So they have to cancel with a 30-day prior written notice. So they can't just cancel today and stop paying. So what happens is, if you're looking at your calendar and pull it up real quick, and let's say that one of my clients messaged me and they said they want to cancel. I would go to the contract and I would say, okay, no problem. I'd like to know why you want to cancel, and can I lower the number of hours or whatever may happen. But at the end of the day, if you want to cancel, I need written notice, which means your contract will actually end on September 11th. And so what that means is I've already invoiced them on the 1st for all of August. And then this is going to carry all the way through to the 11th. So they are going to get a prorated invoice on September 1st for the first 11 days of September, which would be, with a $3,300 contract, that's $1,100. So what it does is it gives you 30 days of paid income, where you now have 4 weeks to go find your next client, and figure out how you can fill that gap. So it gives you 30 days. And sometimes people, if you get more comfortable, you might do 60 days or whatever you're comfortable with. The other thing is, if they go under the hours, like if they don't utilize all the hours, you get paid anyway. If they do utilize all of the hours and they go over, there's an overage rate. So your overage rate is typically, you want that to sit around 20% overage. So if you were charging $80 an hour, the overage rate might be $100. If you're charging $100 an hour, it might be $120, $125, something like that. But your overage rate is intended to, number one, if they're going to overwork you based on what you had accounted for, you're going to get paid well for it. And it's to help keep them in their box, where if they're getting kind of crazy at the beginning of the month or something like that, that you can say, hey, we're tracking to go over this month. I just want you to keep that in mind, and those kind of things. So really, that's it. And again, this is a signed contract that you will have in place with their company. And so it keeps you protected. And this is truly how you grow a company. And everything else in here is, how do you agree on payment terms? We talked a little bit about how you track the project. The business process review is more about how you can gather requirements correctly and effectively.
Yeah, for me, that's important.
Oh yeah, it's huge. This is huge. I would say this is the most important part of the project. I mean, for you as the person, it's about getting paid. But as far as making this project work well, this is the number one thing right here. And again, it's a 7-minute video, because the video is not important. What's important is opening this document and moving through it and being able to coach a client. I mean, this document right here is incredible for preparing a client for the requirements you're going to have. So this is your welcome kit and introduction. And you're going through, I mean, you're moving through this document. It's getting them ready. We need to coordinate our business process requirement workshop. We need to get an agenda in place. We need to determine who's going to show up for this. I'm going to send you some materials that it's a questionnaire that's already outlined. I need you to complete this and get it back to me at least 2 days before this meeting. I mean, this thing walks you through step by step to make sure that you prep clients, that you gather requirements correctly, and then you move into actually designing the actual project. And you can see just from this little screenshot here, you've got an automation. What's the rule for the automation? What's the expected outcome of the automation? So you literally are taking their requirements and building the solution. But this is all paid work. Like, you get paid for building this document, because this is a very important part of the project. And again, you can see less than 20 minutes, because the value is right here. This is where you're getting all the value. Mm-hmm. And it takes you through even training decks for training the end users and administrators at the end of the project. And it's all built out. So if you get one client, just the fact that you got all these templates is probably going to save you 20 hours on the project, just not having to build all these templates and figure out how to do it.
No, definitely reinventing the wheel is ridiculous.
Yeah, right. And I can tell you, like, the reason I feel very confident about this is because I actually worked on a team at a company called Enable Path, an old consulting firm. And my entire job was to work with clients. And I was on what was called the Velocity Project, where my whole goal was to work my clients and teach the rest of the company how to make projects move faster and make projects be more efficient and have everything documented. So, like, that was my job for 2 years. So that's why I feel confident that I know exactly how to streamline a project from start to finish and move you into these managed services agreements so you can build long-term, financial stability with your own company.
Definitely. Thank you so much for walking me through it. Just a couple of last questions that I had. What are your monthly expenses to run this business? I mean, I don't know if that's something that I'm guessing is zero, but I don't know, maybe I'm not thinking straight.
But I want to make sure I answer honestly and that nothing has come up. Nothing. I don't use any tools that cost money. Okay, all right. So the only thing would be monthly expenses. I have to renew the LLC every year.
Yeah, of course.
I can't remember how much that is. I think it's
it's $130 a year.
There you go, $130 a year. And I do have to pay for what I choose to pay for is my domain, just to give me a professional look. So I think that's $100 a year, maybe. And then I do pay for Google Suite so that I have my own Gmail email address for honestit.llc and those kind of things. So I would say altogether, I'm probably spending right around $300 a year to manage the business from a outgoing money perspective.
And I saw a post where you mentioned like the first year you were spending like 1 hour marketing, and now you still do zero. If I'm starting, do you expect me to, or is it expectation that I need to invest in some marketing dollars, or is it all like outreach via LinkedIn, and like you don't use any collateral or anything like that to kind of present your company, anything like that? Or
nope, I don't do any of that. You can create collateral, like you can create basically like a marketing slick or something like that. You might create a video where, just a recorded video that you can share with them about who you are and what you do, just like an intro video to be collateral, and maybe put that on a web page if you want to do something like that. A lot of people like to build web pages. I've ran my company without a web page I still don't have a web page.
I tried to look you up.
Yep. And you can't find me, but at the end of the day, it's still, bringing in well over $200,000 a year working part-time. So I never felt a need for it. If I did, I would have built one. But I had way more clients than I ever needed, and I could still go get more and more clients. So do you need a website? No, definitely not. Could it be useful? Would it make you feel more comfortable? Maybe. So if you're one of those people who feels more comfortable being able to say, hey, check out my website, then sure, build a website. But still, when you think about using some of these website builder tools, you might be adding another $100 a year, maybe $200 a year to your expenses. So I would say that managing the company can easily be under $300 a year. And even if you want to do some more, like a website and things like that, you're still looking at under $500 a year. No, I don't do any ads or anything like that. That's not part of the strategies that I've seen to be successful. You have to go get your clients yourself. They want to talk to you, and they want to know that who you are, how you communicate, what you bring to the table, and that's your job to get in there and show them how to do it. Now, I'm not going to open this one up for the video because I might share this. So this is really the meat of it in finding your clients. So again, it looks crazy because it's a 2-minute video. But
I know when I saw that, I was like, come on, 2 minutes, how much can you really say?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
And now
but that's kind of like one of the things that popped up, I thought.
Yeah. How much right. And I'm not talking to you for 2 minutes about how to find clients. It's very much like everything else here, where I am going to give you, I think the finding clients has right now it's the top 5 strategies. It just happened to be a nice number. If one of those strategies I think is not working well, I'll take it away. If I find another strategy that works well, I'll add it. But right now,
but this is where I think also the value of being in the Facebook group together. You know, we can discover new ways, what's working. How many people do you currently have on that Facebook group? Do you know?
I know that the Facebook group is not fully course members right now. So there's about 100 people in the group, but course members, we have right at about 40 people in the group that have taken the course.
So we can talk about ideas and what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I'll be adding this week is actually what's called a mega thread. And that means what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this course and I'm going to break it down by the major sections, like creating your freelancer LinkedIn profile, finding clients, the statement of work. And what I'm going to do is create a thread specifically for that topic. And then you'll be able to come in to say the managed services agreements. And I'll have a button right here that'll say, take me to the thread for that conversation. That way you can jump in, see what everyone is already talking about on this topic. And then you can ask your own questions right there in that thread. And it just keeps everything consolidated so everybody can see what they need. It's going to be amazing. But I'll keep that in mind, and I might add some more video content to these just to help people get over that hump where they go, hey, it's only 2 minutes. What can I really learn about finding clients? And I can guarantee you that in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you'll watch a video, you'll read some information about how to find clients. There's a lot of written information in this one, and there's even some templates in that one to help, so you can copy, paste, and communicate with potential clients. So that you can reach out to them in sort of a professional manner. So you can copy and paste the email template directly into your Gmail and start communicating with clients right away.
Perfect. And it sounds to me like I have more than enough certifications or knowledge to do this business, right? I mean, that was one of my things that I needed to learn a lot more, learn Pardot, or...
I've seen people have success with even 1 or 2 certifications. They're not going to be able to charge $150 an hour, but even just 1 or 2 certifications, they can come in the door, charging $60 to $80 an hour. And then after a year, they've got a couple more certifications. They've got a year of experience under their belt, and immediately they're charging, $100, $130 an hour.
Great. Okay.
So if you have 6 certifications, then that's going to be all the rapport you need to at least get clients in the door and say, ooh, we were looking at hiring an admin who's got 2 certifications. You've got 6. I definitely want to hear more about what you have to offer to our company.
Yeah, and what I like about my background, which I think a lot of admins don't have, or people that come into the Salesforce space, is I do have like sales management experience. Mm-hmm. So I do have I've been in the shoes of sales directors and all that, so I know what kind of KPIs they look at, things like that. So I do have that, which I feel makes me a little bit unique. So, but I did have some background in marketing automation with ActiveCampaign, and I haven't done any with Salesforce, but I thought that maybe I needed to, to get some knowledge on that before launching this freelance. But it sounds to me like what you're doing is enough. I mean, what I have is enough.
Yeah, I definitely agree that, your background and where you come from is going to make you sort of a shoo-in for this because you have an IT background. A lot of people don't have an IT background. They have a couple of certifications. They've maybe been an admin at a company for 6 months or a year. So I think your background makes you very sort of marketable for this approach.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much for your help. No, I have no further questions. So, okay. So how do we move forward?